3 weeks ago, Eleanor Riggs walked into the harbor with stones in her pockets. The police called it suicide. But someone just walked into my office claiming she was murdered, and they can prove it. My name's Vincent Mallory. Most people call me Vince. I've been working homicide in this city for 12 years, and I've learned one thing. When someone says they have proof, they usually mean they have a hunch and a death wish. But this informant brought photographs. Dark, grainy pictures taken outside the Blue Moon Jazz Club on the night Ellena died. And in those pictures, she's not alone. The informant wouldn't give me a name. Just slid an envelope across my desk, looked over their shoulder twice, and said I had 48 hours before the evidence disappeared forever. Then they were gone, leaving behind the smell of cheap cigarettes and expensive perfume. The kind of smell that doesn't match. The kind that means someone's pretending to be something they're not. I knew I couldn't work this alone. Not with the department breathing down my neck about closing the Riggs case. Not with the pressure coming from somewhere high up, someone who wanted Eleanor's death buried and forgotten. So I called the one person in this city who's more stubborn than me and twice as reckless. Veronica Vale. Everyone calls her Ronnie. She writes for the Tribune, covers the crime beat, and has a talent for showing up in places she shouldn't be. We've worked together before. Sometimes we get along. Most times we don't. But she's got sources I don't have, and she's willing to ask questions that could get a cop fired. When I rang her, she picked up on the second ring. Mallory, what do you want? I need your help. There was a pause. Then a laugh. Not a friendly one. Last time you needed my help, I nearly got arrested for obstruction. This is different. It's always different. Eleanor Riggs. Another pause. Longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Quieter. More focused. They ruled that suicide. I know what they ruled. I'm asking what you think. I think Eleanor Riggs knew something that scared someone powerful, and I think that someone made sure she couldn't talk. Then we're on the same page. Meet me at Morette's in an hour. And Ronnie? Come alone. I hung up before she could argue. Morette's is a dive bar 3 blocks from the precinct. Dark wood, darker lighting, and a bartender who knows when to forget faces. I got there early, took a booth in the back, and spread the photographs across the table. 6 pictures total. All taken the same night. All showing Eleanor Riggs outside the Blue Moon with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, well-dressed, expensive coat. In 3 of the pictures, they're talking. In 2, he's holding her arm. Not gentle. Tight. The kind of grip that leaves marks. In the last picture, she's walking away, looking back over her shoulder. Her face caught in the streetlight. And the expression there, it wasn't fear exactly. It was something colder. Determination, maybe. Or resignation. Ronnie showed up exactly 1 hour later. She slid into the booth across from me, didn't bother with a greeting, just looked down at the photographs. Where'd you get these? Anonymous source. Came to me this morning. And you believe them? I believe these pictures are real. I believe Eleanor Riggs didn't kill herself. Everything else is questions. Ronnie picked up one of the photographs, held it close, squinted at it in the dim light. You recognize him? No, but look at his shoes. She looked. Italian leather. Custom made, probably. Not the kind of shoes you see on every street corner. Money, she said. A lot of it. The coat's custom too. And look at his hand. She looked closer. On the man's right hand, visible just barely in the streetlight, was a ring. Large. Distinctive. Some kind of emblem on it. You know what that is? I asked. No, but I know someone who might. She pulled out a notepad, started sketching the ring from memory. Quick, efficient lines. She had a good eye for detail. I'd give her that. There's something else, I said. The informant told me I have 48 hours. Didn't say why. Didn't say what happens after. But I got the feeling this evidence won't stay available long. Meaning someone knows you have it. Meaning someone's watching to see what I do with it. Ronnie sat back, tapped her pencil against the notepad. So we're being tested. Or set up. Either way, we move fast. She was right. Whatever this was, sitting still wasn't an option. I gathered up the photographs, slid them back into the envelope. I'll take these to the lab, see if we can get better clarity on the ring, maybe identify the location more precisely. You work your sources, find out who this man is. And if we're stepping on someone's toes, then they'll let us know soon enough. We left Morette's separately. Protocol. If someone was watching, no need to make it easy for them. I went back to the precinct, took the photographs to Tommy Chen in the lab. Tommy's good at his job and better at keeping his mouth shut. What am I looking at? He asked, spreading the pictures under his examination light. A dead woman who maybe wasn't as suicidal as everyone thinks. Tommy looked up at me, raised an eyebrow. This is the Riggs case? Yeah. Vince, that case is closed. Captain made it very clear. Suicide. End of story. Captain can think whatever he wants. I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm seeing something different. Tommy sighed, turned back to the photographs. What do you need? The ring. I need to know what that emblem is. And I need any identifying details about the location. Street signs, store names, anything that tells me exactly where this was taken. Give me a few hours. You got 2. And Tommy? Keep this quiet. He nodded. He understood. There are official investigations, and then there are the other kind. The kind that happen in the spaces between, where the light doesn't reach. This was the other kind. I left the lab and went to find Captain Morrison. If I was going to poke at a closed case, I needed to do it carefully. Morrison's a good cop, came up through the ranks the hard way, and he doesn't like politics. But he plays the game when he has to. Everyone does. His office door was open. He was at his desk, working through a stack of paperwork, tie loose around his neck. He looked up when I knocked. Mallory, what do you need? Got a question about the Riggs case. His expression changed. Just slightly. A tightening around the eyes. That case is closed. I know, but I'm seeing some things that don't add up. Such as? I could have told him about the photographs. Should've, maybe. But something stopped me. Some instinct that said once I put this in official channels, it would disappear. So I lied. Just going through my notes. Timeline feels off. She left her apartment at 8. Body wasn't found until midnight. That's 4 hours unaccounted for. Morrison leaned back in his chair. She was at the harbor. Walking. Thinking. That's what suicidal people do. For 4 hours. Vince, I know you want every case to be murder. I get it. But sometimes people just give up. She was depressed. She'd lost her job. Her boyfriend left her. Sometimes that's enough. What job did she lose? Morrison hesitated. Just for a second. She worked for the mayor's office. Secretarial position. Got let go 2 months before she died. Why was she let go? Budget cuts, it happens. Did anyone talk to her former co-workers? Find out if she seemed suicidal? The case was investigated properly. We did our job. Now I'm asking you to do yours and move on. It wasn't a suggestion. It was an order. I nodded, left his office, and went straight to a payphone 3 blocks away. Called Ronnie's desk at the Tribune. Vale. It's me. Eleanor Riggs worked for the mayor's office. Secretary. Got fired 2 months before she died. That's interesting. What did you find? The ring. I showed my sketch to some people. It's a Winslow Society ring. I knew the name. Everyone in the city did. The Winslow Society. Old money. Private club. Members only. The kind of place where deals get made and secrets get kept. Politicians, businessmen, judges. All the people who run the city from the shadows. You're sure? My source is sure. And Vince? There's something else. Eleanor Riggs wrote a letter. Week before she died. Never mailed it. But her landlady found it in her apartment, gave it to me 6 months ago when I was writing a piece about suicide in the city. What did it say? It said she knew something. Something dangerous. Said she was scared. Said if anything happened to her, it wasn't an accident. And you're just telling me this now? You never asked. And besides, the case was closed. What was I supposed to do? She had a point. But it still burned. Where's the letter now? My apartment. I can bring it to you. No, I'll come to you. Where are you? The Blue Moon. Doing some digging. Of course she was. Ronnie never could wait for backup. The Blue Moon sits on the edge of the warehouse district. Red door, no sign, and if you don't know it's there, you're not supposed to find it. It's the kind of place where jazz plays until dawn and questions don't get asked. I'd been there twice before. Once on a case. Once not. I pushed through the red door just after 9. The place was half full. Smoke hung thick in the air, and a woman was singing something slow and sad from the small stage in the corner. Ronnie was at the bar, nursing a drink and talking to the bartender. I walked over, took the stool next to her. Learn anything? Plenty. Eleanor was here the night she died. She came in around 9, met a man matching the description from your photos. They talked for about an hour. Things got heated. He grabbed her arm. She pulled away. He left first. She stayed another 20 minutes, had 2 more drinks, then left alone. Who told you this, bartender? Name's Jack. He remembers because Eleanor was crying. I looked at Jack. He was wiping down glasses, pretending not to listen. Jack, I'm Detective Mallory. I need to ask you some questions about Eleanor Riggs. He stopped wiping, looked at me with the kind of expression that said he knew this conversation was coming. I already told her everything. Tell me too, What time did Ellena leave? Around 10:30. And the man she was with left at 10. Didn't pay his tab. She covered it. You ever see him before, maybe? Hard to say. We get a lot of people through here. But you remember her. She was memorable. How so? Jack set down the glass, leaned against the bar. She was scared. I mean really scared. The kind of scared that makes people do stupid things. When that man left, she sat here crying for 10 minutes. Then she dried her eyes, finished her drink, and walked out like she'd made a decision. What kind of decision? The permanent kind. A cold feeling settled in my gut. Jack was describing a woman preparing to die. But the photographs showed something different. They showed a woman having an argument, sure, but not a woman giving up. There was something missing. Some piece that connected the scared woman at the bar to the determined woman in the photograph. Did she say anything to you before she left? She asked me if I believed in God. What did you tell her? I told her I believe in jazz and whiskey and leaving people alone. She laughed. Said that was probably smarter. Ronnie finished her drink, slid off the bar stool. Come on, there's someone else we need to talk to. We left the Blue Moon and walked 3 blocks to a narrow townhouse with peeling paint and a crooked mailbox. Ronnie knocked twice. The door opened a crack, held by a chain, and a woman's face appeared in the gap. Old, tired, suspicious. Mrs. Chen? It's Veronica Vale. From the Tribune. We spoke 6 months ago. The suspicious look didn't change, but the door closed, the chain rattled, and the door opened again. Mrs. Chen stepped back to let us in. This is Detective Mallory, Ronnie said. He's investigating Eleanor's death. I thought that was finished. So did everyone, I said. But some new information came up. I understand Ellena rented a room from you. Top floor. She was a good tenant. Quiet. Always paid on time. Can I see the room, Mrs. Chen looked at Ronnie, then back at me. Police already looked at it. Took some things. Gave the rest to her sister. I know, but I'd still like to see it. She hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. We climbed 2 flights of narrow stairs to a small room under the eaves. It was empty now. Bare walls, bare floor, a single window looking out over the street. Mrs. Chen stood in the doorway. She loved this room. Said she could think here. Said it was the first place she'd lived where she felt safe. Safe from what? I asked. She never said. But I could tell. She'd lock her door. Both locks. And sometimes late at night I'd hear her pacing. Did she have many visitors? None. She kept to herself. Except for that last week. Someone came by 3 times. A man, she wouldn't let him in. They'd argue in the hallway. I told her if he came back I'd call the police, but she said not to. Said it would only make things worse. This man, what did he look like? Tall. Wore a nice coat. Spoke like he had money. I looked at Ronnie. She was thinking the same thing I was. The man from the photographs. Mrs. Chen, did Ellena leave anything behind? Anything at all? Just the letter. I gave that to Miss Vale. Oh, and one more thing. But I don't know if it matters. Everything matters. She walked to the closet, opened it, bent down. When she stood up, she was holding a shoe. I found this under the radiator when I was cleaning. Must have rolled under there. It's not Eleanor's. Too big. Must have belonged to someone else. I took the shoe. It was a man's dress shoe. Italian leather. Custom made. The same kind of shoe the man in the photographs was wearing. And on the inside, stamped in gold, was a name, Castellano Fine Footwear. Can I keep this, Mrs.? Chen nodded. We left the townhouse and stood on the sidewalk. It was getting late. The street was quiet except for the distant sound of a radio playing somewhere. Castellano's is downtown, Ronnie said. High-end place. They only make custom orders. Think they'll have records? Only one way to find out. We took my car downtown. Castellano Fine Footwear was tucked between a bank and a law office, the kind of place you walk past without noticing. The window display showed a single pair of shoes on a velvet cushion under a spotlight. The door was locked, but there was a light on inside. I knocked. Waited. Knocked again. Finally, a man appeared from the back. Short, round, wearing an apron. He peered through the glass, saw my badge, and unlocked the door. We're closed. I can see that. I just need to ask some questions. Won't take long. He sighed, opened the door wider. Come in, quickly. The shop was small but immaculate. Shoes lined the walls, each pair perfect, each pair probably worth more than I made in a month. The man wiped his hands on his apron. I'm Mr. Castellano. What's this about? I held up the shoe. This is one of yours. He took it, examined it, nodded. Yes. This is my work. Where did you get it? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Can you tell me who it belongs to? He hesitated. My customers value their privacy. And I value solving murders. His expression changed. He looked at the shoe again, then at me. This was part of a commission I completed 3 months ago. 3 pairs, all identical. Black leather, custom sole, gold interior stamp. The customer paid in cash. Didn't want a receipt. But you remember who it was? Of course. You don't forget a commission like that. The customer was very specific. Wanted the leather from a particular tannery in Italy. Wanted the stitching done by hand. Wanted everything perfect. I need a name. Castellano set the shoe down on the counter. I could lose my business. You could lose more than that if you obstruct a murder investigation. He stared at me. I stared back. Finally, he walked to a drawer behind the counter, pulled out a ledger, flipped through pages. Here. The order was placed by a Mr. Richard Ashford. But he wasn't the one who wore them. How do you know? Because when he picked them up, he said they were a gift. For someone important. Someone who needed to look the part. Did he say who? No, but he mentioned the person worked closely with the mayor. I looked at Ronnie. She was writing everything down, her pencil moving fast across her notepad. Anything else you remember? Just one thing. When Mr. Ashford picked up the shoes, he had someone with him. A woman. Young, pretty, nervous. She stayed by the door, didn't say anything. But I remember her because she kept looking out the window, like she was watching for someone. You recognize her if you saw her again? Castellano nodded. I pulled out one of the photographs, the one that showed Eleanor's face most clearly, and showed it to him. This her? He studied the photograph, and his face went pale. Yes. That's her. Is she the one who was murdered? Yeah, she is. We left Castellano's shop with more questions than answers. Richard Ashford. The name didn't mean anything to me, but Ronnie knew it. Ashford's a lawyer, she said as we walked back to the car. Big firm downtown. Represents the Winslow Society among other clients. If he's involved, this goes deeper than we thought. How deep are we talking? Mayor's office deep, maybe deeper. I unlocked the car, but before we could get in, a black sedan pulled up behind us. Two men got out. Both wearing suits. Both with the kind of build that said they weren't lawyers. The taller one walked over. Detective Mallory. Miss Vale. We need you to come with us. Who are you? Friends of people you're asking questions about, people who'd prefer those questions stop. And if I say no? He smiled. It wasn't friendly. Then we'll ask less politely. I looked at Ronnie. She was tense, ready to run or fight. I shook my head slightly. Not worth it. Not here. Not now. Where are we going? Somewhere private. Somewhere we can talk. They drove us across town to an old warehouse by the docks. Empty, dark, the kind of place where bad things happen and nobody hears about it. They led us inside, sat us down in two chairs in the middle of the empty floor, and stood behind us. A door opened at the far end of the warehouse. Footsteps echoed. A man walked toward us out of the darkness. Well-dressed, confident, the kind of man used to being obeyed. When he got close enough, I recognized him from the photographs. The man who'd been arguing with Ellena outside the Blue Moon. He stopped a few feet away, studied us both. Detective Mallory. Miss Vale. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Didn't feel like we had a choice, I said. You always have a choice. But some choices are smarter than others. Let me be clear about what's happening here. You're investigating a case that's already been closed. You're asking questions that don't need answers. You're bothering people who don't like being bothered. This needs to stop. Who are you? My name is Thomas Winslow. My family has been influential in this city for 3 generations. We value privacy. We value discretion. And we don't appreciate detectives and reporters digging into matters that don't concern them. Eleanor Riggs concerns me, I said. Eleanor Riggs was a troubled young woman who made some poor decisions. Her death was tragic but inevitable. She knew something, didn't she? Something about you. About your society. Something worth killing for. Winslow's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Anger, maybe. Or fear. Eleanor Riggs knew nothing of consequence. She was a secretary. She filed papers. She answered phones. That's all. Then why were you with her the night she died? I was trying to help her. She'd come to me, claimed she was in danger, claimed she needed money. I offered what assistance I could. She refused. She was paranoid. Delusional. I left her at the Blue Moon and that was the last I saw of her. You grabbed her arm. I was trying to keep her from making a scene. And the shoe. Your shoe. It was in her room. For the first time, Winslow looked uncomfortable. I visited her apartment once. A week before her death. She'd called me, said she had evidence of some imagined conspiracy. I went to calm her down, to convince her to seek help. I must have lost the shoe then. Or you were there for a different reason. Maybe to search her room. Make sure she didn't have anything that could hurt you or your friends. Winslow stepped closer. His voice dropped lower, harder. You're making assumptions, detective. Dangerous assumptions. Let me give you some advice. Eleanor Riggs is dead. The case is closed. If you continue investigating, you'll find nothing but trouble. The kind of trouble that ends careers. Or worse. Is that a threat? It's a promise. This city has rules. You're breaking them. Stop now, and we'll forget this conversation happened. Continue, and you'll learn what happens to people who don't know when to quit. He turned, walked back toward the door he'd come through. The two men who'd brought us here grabbed our arms, pulled us to our feet, and escorted us back to the car. 10 minutes later, we were standing on a street corner downtown, alone. Ronnie was shaking. Not from fear. From anger. That son of a, I know. He just threatened us. Openly. And we're supposed to just walk away. That's what he wants. Question is, what are we going to do? She looked at me. We're going to nail him. All of them. Whatever Ellena knew, whatever got her killed, we're going to find it and we're going to expose it. Even if it gets us killed too. Especially then. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell her this was too dangerous, that we should back off, report what we knew to someone higher up the chain. But I knew it wouldn't matter. Ronnie was right. Eleanor Riggs had died for knowing something. Someone had murdered her and called it suicide. Someone had threatened us to keep us quiet. If we walked away now, we were just as guilty as they were. All right. But we do this smart. No more asking questions out in the open. No more showing our hand. We work in the shadows until we've got enough evidence to bring him down. Agreed. Agreed. We split up again. Ronnie went to follow up on some leads at the Tribune. I went back to the precinct to meet with Tommy Chen. He'd had the photographs for hours now. Time to see what he'd found. I found Tommy still in the lab, hunched over a microscope. Tell me something good. He looked up, rubbed his eyes. I've got good news and bad news. Good news is I was able to enhance the photographs. Got better clarity on the ring, the location, even the time. And the bad news is I shouldn't be showing you any of this. Got a call from Captain Morrison an hour ago. Told me to drop whatever I was working on related to the Riggs case. Said it was a direct order. But you didn't. But I didn't. Because you're my friend and because something about this stinks. Here, look. He pulled up an enhanced image on his computer screen. The ring was clearly visible now. The emblem showed a shield with a bird. Beneath it, tiny letters, Veritas et Fortitudo. Truth and strength. The motto of the Winslow Society. What about the location? Tommy pulled up another image. This one showed the street corner where the photograph had been taken. Enhanced, I could now see a street sign, Harrow and 5th. That's 2 blocks from the mayor's mansion. Yeah, and look at the time. He pointed to a clock visible in one of the shop windows. 9:15. Ellena left her apartment at 8. She was at Harrow and 5th at 9:15. She didn't arrive at the Blue Moon until around 9:30. So there's 15 minutes unaccounted for. What happened in that 15 minutes? Maybe she walked. Maybe she stopped somewhere. Or maybe she went somewhere else first. Somewhere between Harrow and Fifth and the Blue Moon. I thought about it. The geography didn't make sense. The Blue Moon was east of Eleanor's apartment. Harrow and Fifth was west. Why would she go in the wrong direction? Unless she wasn't going to the Blue Moon. Unless she was going somewhere else and then changed her mind. Or got scared. Or got chased. Tommy, I need you to do something for me. Off the books. I figured. Pull up any incident reports from that night. Anything within a 5-block radius of Harrow and Fifth. Anything between 8 and midnight. That's going to take time. I don't have time. 48 hours, remember? The clock's ticking. I'll do what I can. I left the lab and went to my desk. It was late, almost midnight, and the precinct was quiet. I sat down, pulled out Eleanor's file, and started reading through it again. Looking for something I'd missed. Some detail that would tell me what she knew. Eleanor Riggs. 26 years old. Born in Nebraska. Came to the city 4 years ago. Worked various jobs before landing the position at the mayor's office. No criminal record. No history of mental illness. By all accounts, a normal young woman trying to make a life in a big city. But something had changed 2 months before her death. She'd lost her job. The official reason was budget cuts, but the timing bothered me. 2 months before her death, something happened. Something that got her fired. Something that made her scared. I flipped through the file looking for details about her employment. There wasn't much. Just a note that she'd worked as a secretary to Deputy Mayor Harrison for 18 months before being terminated. Deputy Mayor Harrison. I knew the name. Charles Harrison. Career politician. Smooth, connected, ambitious. Rumored to have his eyes on the mayor's office. Also rumored to be a member of the Winslow Society. I picked up the phone, called Ronnie at her apartment. Yeah. Did Ellena ever mention Deputy Mayor Harrison? Not specifically. Why? Because she worked for him. Directly. For 18 months. Then she got fired, and 2 months later she's dead. There was a pause on the other end of the line. You think Harrison's involved? I think everyone connected to the mayor's office is involved until proven otherwise. Can you dig into Harrison? Find out what he was working on around the time Ellena got fired? I can try. But Vince, if Harrison's dirty and he finds out we're looking at him, then we're already in trouble anyway. Just be careful. You too. I hung up and sat back in my chair. The pieces were starting to connect. Ellena worked for Harrison. She learned something. Something that scared her. She got fired. She tried to get help from Thomas Winslow, probably because she knew he had influence, knew he could protect her. But instead of helping, he'd silenced her. Made it look like suicide. But what had she learned? What secret was worth killing for? My phone rang. I picked it up. Mallory, detective, it's Jack. From the Blue Moon. Listen, I didn't tell you everything earlier. I'm listening. The night Ellena died, after she left, someone else came in asking about her. Tall guy, expensive suit, looked like money. He asked if Ellena had been there, asked if she'd talked to anyone, asked which way she went when she left. What did you tell him? Nothing. Told him I didn't know what he was talking about. But he scared me. And I'm not easy to scare. Did you recognize him? Number? But he had a ring. Big one. Had a bird on it. Another Winslow Society member. They'd been tracking Ellena. Following her. Making sure she didn't talk. Jack, you did the right thing calling me, but be careful. These people don't like loose ends. I know. That's why I'm telling you. Because I got the feeling Ellena wasn't the first person they've silenced. And she won't be the last. He hung up. I sat there in the dark precinct, thinking. How many people had the Winslow Society killed? How long had they been operating? And how high up did this go? My phone rang again. This time it was Tommy. Vince, you need to get down here, now. What did you find? Just get down here. I took the stairs down to the lab 2 at a time. Tommy was standing at his computer, his face pale. What is it? I pulled the incident reports like you asked. Most of it was nothing. Drunk and disorderly. Couple of burglaries. But then I found this. He turned the computer screen toward me. It showed a police report from the night Ellena died. Incident time, 9:20. Location, Harrow and 3rd, 2 blocks from where Ellena had been photographed. Report filed by Officer Dennis Palmer. Content: investigated complaint of woman screaming. Upon arrival, found no victim. Single witness reported seeing woman running from well-dressed man. Witness described woman as early 20s, dark hair, green coat. Man described as tall, expensive clothing. Search of area produced no results. Witness declined to provide contact information. No further action taken. Green coat. Ellena had been wearing a green coat the night she died. The coroner's report mentioned it. She'd been wearing it when her body was pulled from the harbor. She was running from someone, I said. That's what happened in those 15 minutes, she was being chased. There's more, Tommy said. He pulled up another document. I cross-referenced Officer Palmer's report with his activity log. He filed the report at 9:45. But according to his log, he received the call at 9:15 and arrived on scene at 9:20. That's normal. But here's what's not normal. He stayed on scene for 25 minutes before filing the report. And there's no explanation for what he was doing during that time. You think he found something? I think he found Ellena. I think she told him what was happening. And I think he either didn't believe her or didn't want to get involved. Where's Palmer now? Working night shift. Should be on patrol in the warehouse district. I grabbed my coat. Stay here. Keep digging. If anyone asks, you're working on something else. Vince, be careful. If Palmer's dirty. Then I'll find out soon enough. I drove to the warehouse district, found Palmer's patrol car parked outside an all-night diner. He was inside, drinking coffee and reading the newspaper. I walked in, slid into the booth across from him. Officer Palmer, we need to talk. He looked up, and I saw the recognition in his eyes. And the fear. About what? About Eleanor Riggs. About the report you filed the night she died. About what really happened. He set down his coffee cup. His hand was shaking. I don't know what you're talking about. You responded to a call. Woman screaming. You found her. You talked to her. Then you let her go and filed a report that said you found nothing. That's what happened. Number. That's what you wrote. What really happened? Palmer looked around the diner. It was empty except for a waitress behind the counter. He leaned forward, lowered his voice. I could lose my job. My pension. Everything. Eleanor Riggs lost her life. Whatever you're scared of, it's not as bad as that. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he sighed. I found her on Harrow and 3rd. She was hiding behind a car, terrified. Kept saying someone was trying to kill her. I thought she was crazy. Drunk, maybe. But then I saw her face. She wasn't drunk. She was genuinely scared. So I asked her what happened. She told me she'd learned something. Something about the people who run this city. Something that would destroy them if it got out. She said she had evidence. Documents. Photographs. Said she was going to the newspapers. What did you do? I told her I'd take her to the station. Keep her retry H continue safe until we could figure out what to do. But she refused. Said the police couldn't protect her. Said they were part of it. I tried to convince her, but she wouldn't listen. Then a car pulled up. Black sedan. Expensive. A man got out. Tall, well-dressed. He looked at me, looked at Ellena, and smiled. And Ellena, she just froze. Who was he? I don't know. But he flashed some kind of badge. Federal, maybe. Or something else. He told me he'd take it from here. Told me to file a report saying I found nothing and move on. I asked what authority he had. He made a phone call. 2 minutes later, my captain called me directly. Told me to do exactly what the man said. So I did. I left Ellena there with him and I drove away. Palmer's voice cracked. He looked down at his coffee. I think about it every day. I should have stayed. Should have fought. Should have done something. But I was scared. And I was a coward. What happened to the evidence Ellena mentioned? I don't know. She didn't have anything on her when I found her. Maybe she'd already hidden it somewhere. Maybe she never had it at all. Do you remember anything else? Anything she said about what she'd learned? Palmer thought for a moment. She said something about ledgers. Financial records. Said they proved everything. Said they showed where the money was really going. That's all I remember. I left Palmer in the diner and called Ronnie from my car. Financial records. Ledgers. Ellena had evidence of financial crimes. Something involving the mayor's office, the Winslow Society, or both. That makes sense, Ronnie said. I've been digging into Harrison. He's been overseeing several major city contracts over the past 2 years. Construction projects, infrastructure improvements. Millions of dollars flowing through his office. You think he's skimming? I think it's bigger than that. I think the whole thing's a shell game. Money comes in from the city budget, gets funneled through various contractors and companies, and ends up in private accounts. And I think Ellena figured it out because she was processing the paperwork. Where would she have gotten the evidence? If she was smart. She made copies before they fired her. Took them with her when she left. Then where are they now? That's the question, isn't it? I thought about Eleanor's apartment. The police had searched it after her death, looking for a suicide note. They'd found the letter Mrs. Chen had mentioned, but nothing else. No documents. No ledgers. No evidence. But maybe they weren't looking in the right place. Ellena had a sister, I said. The file mentioned it. She gave Eleanor's belongings to the sister after the death was ruled suicide. You have a name? Give me a minute. I pulled over, flipped through the file by the dome light of my car. There it was. Next of kin, Margaret Riggs. Address, 447 Oakwood Drive. Margaret Riggs. Oakwood Drive. You know it. That's out in the suburbs. Nice area. Quiet. We need to talk to her. Now? It's almost 1 in the morning. We'll go first thing tomorrow. Meet me at Morette's at 7. Vince, we've got less than 24 hours left on that 48-hour deadline. Whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. I know. That's why we move fast. 7 sharp. I hung up and drove home. My apartment was dark and cold. I hadn't been there much lately. I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and spread out everything I knew. Eleanor Riggs worked for Deputy Mayor Harrison. She discovered financial crimes. She made copies of evidence. She got fired. She tried to get help from Thomas Winslow. He refused, possibly because he was involved. She ran. Someone chased her. Officer Palmer found her but let her go. She ended up at the Blue Moon, scared and desperate. She met with Winslow again. They argued. He left. She stayed, had a few drinks, then walked into the harbor with stones in her pockets. Except none of that made sense. If she was being chased, if she was scared, why go to the Blue Moon? Why meet with Winslow at all? Unless she wasn't meeting him. Unless he'd tracked her there. And the stones in her pockets. The detail that made everyone believe it was suicide. Where had she gotten the stones? They weren't just any stones. The coroner's report specified them. Limestone. Clean. Like they'd come from a construction site or a quarry. I thought about the city contracts Ronnie had mentioned. Construction projects. Infrastructure improvements. What if one of those projects was connected to everything else? What if that's where the money was going? I needed to sleep, but my mind wouldn't stop. I kept seeing Eleanor's face in the photograph. That determined expression. She'd made a decision that night. Not to die. To do something else. Something that scared her but that she knew had to be done. I must have dozed off eventually because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through my window and my alarm was blaring. 6:30. I had 30 minutes to get to Morette's. I made it with 5 minutes to spare. Ronnie was already there, 2 cups of coffee on the table. She looked like she hadn't slept either. You look terrible, she said. You too. I found something. Stayed up all night going through old Tribune articles. 3 years ago, there was a construction project. New municipal building downtown. $20 million contract. It was awarded to a company called Horizon Development. Let me guess, Horizon Development has ties to the Winslow Society. Better. Horizon Development doesn't exist. I mean, it exists on paper. It's registered, it has an address, it has a bank account. But there's no actual company. No employees. No office. No equipment. It's a front. So where did the 20 million go? That's what Ellena must have figured out. And that's what got her killed. We finished our coffee and drove out to Oakwood Drive. Number 447 was a small house with a neat lawn and flower boxes in the windows. A woman answered the door when we knocked. Mid-30s, tired eyes, resemblance to Ellena. Margaret Riggs? Yes. I showed her my badge. I'm Detective Mallory. This is Veronica Vale. We're investigating your sister's death. Her expression changed. Hardened. Ellena killed herself. The police said so. Why are you investigating? Because we don't think it was suicide. We think she was murdered. And we think she tried to leave evidence behind. Margaret stared at us. Then she stepped back and opened the door wider. Come in. The house was quiet. Tasteful. The kind of place where nothing bad was supposed to happen. Margaret led us to a small living room and gestured for us to sit. I never believed Ellena killed herself, she said. My sister wasn't depressed. She wasn't suicidal. She was scared. She called me 2 days before she died. Said she'd learned something terrible. Said she was in danger. I told her to go to the police. She said she couldn't trust them. I didn't understand what she meant until after she was dead. Did she tell you what she'd learned? Number. Just that it involved her job. That she'd seen things she wasn't supposed to see. That she'd made copies. Do you have those copies? Margaret hesitated. The police searched Eleanor's apartment. Took everything. Gave me her personal belongings. Clothes, books, jewelry. Nothing important. But Ellena was smart. If she'd made copies of something dangerous, she wouldn't have kept them in her apartment. Where would she have kept them? We had a storage unit when we were younger. Our parents' things. After they died, we couldn't bear to throw anything away. The unit's in Eleanor's name, but I have a key. I went there after she died. Found a box she'd left. What was in it? Documents. Pages and pages of financial records. Invoices, receipts, bank statements. I didn't understand what they meant. I was going to take them to the police, but then the case was closed so quickly. They ruled it suicide within 48 hours. Didn't even do a proper investigation. And I got scared. Scared that whoever killed Ellena would come after me too. So I locked the box back up and tried to forget about it. We need to see that box. Margaret looked at us both. Studying us. Trying to decide if she could trust us. If I give you this, will you get justice for my sister? We'll try, I said. That's all I can promise. She nodded, stood up, left the room. When she came back, she was holding a key. The storage facility is on Maple Street. Unit 23. Everything's there. We drove to the storage facility in silence. The place was old, run down, rows of orange metal doors with padlocks. Unit 23 was in the back corner. I used Margaret's key to open the padlock, rolled up the door. The unit was full of boxes. Old furniture. A child's bicycle. The accumulated debris of a family's life. In the back corner, separate from everything else, was a single cardboard box with Eleanor's name written on it in marker. I pulled it out, opened it. Inside were dozens of manila folders, each one stuffed with documents. I pulled out the first folder, started reading. Invoices from Horizon Development to the city. Millions of dollars for materials and labor. But the materials were never delivered. The labor was never performed. The money just disappeared. I pulled out another folder. Bank statements showing wire transfers from city accounts to Horizon Development. Then secondary transfers from Horizon Development to various offshore accounts. And a third folder. This one containing photographs. Not the kind taken by an informant outside a jazz club. Professional photographs. Documents spread out on a desk. Someone had photographed the original records. And in the reflection of the glass on the desk, I could see Eleanor's face. She'd taken these pictures herself. She built an entire case, Ronnie said, looking over my shoulder. Everything's here. Paper trail, money trail, evidence of fraud. This would destroy everyone involved. And it got her killed. I kept digging through the box. At the very bottom, beneath all the financial records, was a small notebook. I opened it. Eleanor's handwriting, neat and precise. The first page was a list of names. Deputy Mayor Charles Harrison. Thomas Winslow. Richard Ashford. Senator William Blackwell. Judge Patricia Keene. Mayor Robert Crawford. Next to each name was a number. Amounts. How much each person had received from the stolen funds. Harrison, $2.4 million. Winslow, $3.1 million. Ashford, $1.8 million. Blackwell, $2.7 million. Keene, $1.5 million. Crawford, $4.2 million. The corruption went all the way to the top. The mayor himself was involved. And not just involved, he was the primary beneficiary. The next pages detailed meetings. Dates, times, locations. Ellena had documented everything. She'd attended these meetings as Harrison's secretary, taking notes, processing paperwork. And she'd realized what she was witnessing. A systematic theft of public funds by the most powerful people in the city. The final page was a letter. Addressed to no one. Dated 3 days before her death. If you're reading this, I'm probably dead. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to expose them. But they're too powerful. They have the police, the courts, the media. They have everything. So I'm leaving this evidence behind and hoping someone finds it. Someone braver than me. Someone who can actually make a difference. The money from the Horizon Development contract was just the beginning. There are other contracts. Other shell companies. Millions of dollars stolen from the taxpayers of this city. And it's all going to build something. Something they call the New Foundation. I don't know what it means, but I know it's big. Bigger than anything I understood. Please, whoever finds this, finish what I started. Don't let them win. It was signed Eleanor Riggs. I closed the notebook, looked at Ronnie. She was pale. The New Foundation. You ever heard of that? No, but if it's big enough to kill for, we need to find out what it is. We loaded the box into my car and drove back downtown. It was almost noon. We had less than 12 hours left on the mysterious 48-hour deadline. And I had the feeling we were running out of time fast. We went to the Tribune. Ronnie's editor, a gruff man named Marcus Webb, was at his desk when we arrived. He looked up, saw us, saw the box. "What's this?" "A story," Ronnie said. "The biggest story this city's ever seen. Corruption at the highest levels. Proof that the mayor and half the city government have been stealing millions from taxpayers." Webb's eyes narrowed. "You can prove it? Every word? Documents, photographs, financial records?" "It's all here." Webb stood up, looked at the box, then at me. "You're a cop. Why bring this to a newspaper?" "Because I don't know who I can trust at the department. This goes too high. If I try to investigate through official channels, it'll disappear. But if it's in the newspaper, if it's public, they can't bury it." Webb nodded slowly. "All right. But we do this right. We verify everything. We triple-check sources. We make sure this is airtight before we publish." "How long do I have?" "Tonight. Has to be tomorrow's morning edition." "That's impossible. A story like this needs time. If we wait, people die. We've already lost Eleanor Riggs. I'm not losing anyone else." Webb looked at me, then at Ronnie. "You're sure about this? Once we publish, there's no taking it back. You'll have every powerful person in this city coming after you." "They're already coming after us," Ronnie said. "At least this way, we're swinging back." Webb sat down, pulled the box toward him. "All right. Get me everything. I'll pull together a team. We work through the afternoon, verify what we can, and go to print at midnight." "But Vale, you're putting your name on this. If it blows up on you." "I know. We spent the afternoon at the Tribune. Ronnie and 3 other reporters going through the documents, building the story. I sat in a corner, watching, occasionally answering questions. The story was taking shape. It was devastating. Complete. Undeniable. At 4 o'clock, my phone rang. Tommy Chen. "Vince, where are you?" "The Tribune." "Why?" "You need to get out of there. Now." "Captain Morrison just got a call from the mayor's office. They know what you're doing. They're sending people." "How much time do I have?" "Minutes. Maybe less. Get out." I hung up, turned to Ronnie. "We've got company coming. How much more time do you need?" Webb looked up from the documents. "At least 3 more hours, maybe 4. You don't have it. They know we're here." Webb's expression hardened. "Then we work faster. Vale, you and the detective get out of here. Take the originals. We'll work from the copies. If they come, all they'll find is a newsroom working on tomorrow's edition." "They'll shut you down," I said. "Let them try. I've been doing this job for 30 years. I know my rights. They can't stop the press without cause, and we'll make sure they don't have cause." Ronnie grabbed the box with the original documents. We left through the back entrance, took the stairs down to the parking garage. My car was where I'd left it. We'd just gotten in when I saw them. 3 black sedans pulling into the garage. Men getting out. Moving fast. I started the engine, threw it in reverse, and pulled out of the parking spot. The men saw us, started running. One of them raised a gun. "Get down." The back window exploded. Glass everywhere. I floored the accelerator, drove toward the exit. Another shot. The side mirror disintegrated. Then we were out, onto the street, weaving through traffic. "Are they following?" Ronnie asked, still ducked down. I checked the rearview mirror. The 3 sedans were behind us, gaining. "Yeah, they're following." I took a hard right, then a left, trying to lose them in the downtown traffic. But they were good. Professional. They stayed on us. "Where are we going?" Ronnie asked. Good question. We couldn't go to the precinct. Couldn't go to my apartment or hers. Couldn't go anywhere they'd expect us to be. Then I remembered. The warehouse where Thomas Winslow had taken us. Empty, isolated, the kind of place no one would think to look. Sometimes the best hiding place is the last place you were caught. I drove across town, took a route full of turns and doubling back. Finally lost the sedans somewhere around the warehouse district. Pulled into the same warehouse where we'd been threatened less than 24 hours ago. It was still empty. Still dark. We got out of the car, carried the box inside, and sat down on the concrete floor. "Now what?" Ronnie asked. "Now we wait. Let Webb finish the story. Once it's published, we're safe. The evidence is public. Killing us won't change anything. And if they find us before then..." I pulled out my gun, checked the chamber. "Then we make it expensive for them." We sat in the darkness for hours. Listening. Waiting. Outside, the sun set. The warehouse filled with shadows. Ronnie sat next to me, her back against the wall. "You ever think about quitting?" she asked. "Quitting what?" "All of it. The job. The city. This whole mess. Every day. Why don't you?" "Because then they win. People like Winslow, like Harrison, like the mayor. They count on people like us giving up. Getting tired. Walking away. If we do, they get to keep stealing, keep lying, keep killing. And I'm not okay with that. Even if it costs you everything. Especially then." She was quiet for a moment. "Ellena thought the same thing. And it got her killed." "Maybe. But at least she tried. At least she fought. That's more than most people can say." We sat in silence after that. Around 10 o'clock, my phone rang. "Webb. We've got it. Stories written, fact-checked, and ready to print. We go to press in 2 hours. Any problems?" Mayor's office sent someone to the Tribune. Tried to intimidate me. I told them to get lost. They threatened to pull our business license. I told them good luck explaining to the public why they're shutting down a newspaper. They left. But Mallory, they're scared. And scared people do dangerous things. Just get the story out. That's all that matters. "Will do. Where are you?" "Somewhere safe. Call me when the first papers hit the street." I hung up. 2 more hours. We could make it 2 more hours. Except at 11 o'clock, headlights swept across the warehouse entrance. A car door slammed. Footsteps. I stood up, gun in hand. Ronnie moved behind me. A figure appeared in the doorway. Backlit by the streetlights. Tall, well-dressed. Thomas Winslow. He walked toward us slowly, hands visible, no weapon. "Detective Mallory." "Miss Vale." I thought I might find you here. How? Because I know how people think when they're scared. They run to the last place they felt safe. Even if that place is where they were threatened. He stopped about 10 feet away. I'm here to offer you a deal. We're not interested. You haven't heard it yet. Doesn't matter. We're not backing down. Winslow smiled. It was sad smile. Tired. I know. I could see it in your eyes yesterday. You're both true believers. The kind of people who think right and wrong still matter. Who think justice is real. I used to be like that. Long time ago. What changed? I grew up. I learned how the world really works. It's not about justice. It's about power. About who has it and who doesn't. Ellena learned that too. That's why she died. You killed her. Number. I tried to save her. I told her to stop digging. Told her to take some money and disappear. She refused. Said she had a moral obligation. So I stepped aside and let the people who actually make decisions handle it. Who? Does it matter? There's always someone above me. Someone above them. It goes all the way up. You can't fight it. You can only choose which side you're on. We've already chosen. Winslow nodded. I know. That's why I'm here. Not to threaten you. To warn you. The story comes out tomorrow. The people involved will lose everything. Money, power, reputation. And when powerful people have nothing left to lose, they become very dangerous. They'll come after you. Both of you. And they won't stop until you're dead. Let them try. You're not listening. I'm not talking about threats or intimidation. I'm talking about accidents. Car crashes. Gas leaks. Suicides. You'll both be dead within a week, and no one will be able to prove anything. Then why are you warning us? Winslow was quiet for a long moment. Because I liked Ellena. She reminded me of my daughter. Smart, brave, stubborn. And I let her die because I was too much of a coward to help her. I won't make that mistake again. He reached into his coat. I raised my gun. He moved slowly, carefully, pulled out an envelope. This contains two things. First, new identities. Passports, birth certificates, driver's licenses. Everything you need to disappear. Second, account numbers. Offshore accounts. Each one contains $200,000. Enough to start over somewhere else. He tossed the envelope on the ground between us. Take it. Disappear. Let the story run. But get out before the consequences catch up to you. And what do you get out of this? Peace of mind. Maybe. Or maybe just less guilt. I don't know anymore. He turned, started walking toward the door. Stopped. Looked back. Eleanor's notebook. The one where she wrote about the new foundation. Do you know what that is? No, it's a plan. A complete restructuring of this city's government. Mayor Crawford and his associates have been siphoning money for 3 years, building a war chest. They're planning to buy the next election. Not just the mayor's office. City council, judiciary, everything. They want total control. And they're close to having it. Your story tomorrow will slow them down. But it won't stop them. Not unless you're willing to see it through. And if you do, they'll kill you. That's not a threat. It's a fact. Then he was gone. The warehouse was quiet again. I picked up the envelope, opened it. Everything he'd said was there. Fake IDs, account information. A way out. I looked at Ronnie. What do you think? I think Ellena didn't run. She stayed and fought. And yeah, it got her killed. But her death won't be meaningless if we finish this. Even if it kills us too. Especially then. I smiled. Couldn't help it. She was just as stubborn as I was. All right then, we see it through. I tossed the envelope in a trash can. We didn't need it. At midnight, Webb called. We're going to press. Papers hit the street at 5 a.m. We'll be there. At 4 in the morning, we drove back downtown. The streets were empty. The city was quiet. We parked outside the Tribune and waited. At 5:15, a delivery truck pulled up. The driver started loading bundles of newspapers. I got out, bought one from the stack. The headline was huge, black letters across the entire front page: City Hall corruption. Mayor and officials accused of stealing millions. Below it, Ronnie's byline. And below that, the story. All of it. Names, numbers, evidence. Everything Ellena had died to expose. I showed it to Ronnie. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she started crying. Not sad tears. Relieved ones. We did it. Ellena did it. We just finished the job. We drove to Morette's. It was early, but the bar was open. I ordered coffee for both of us. We sat in the same booth where this all started. What happens now? Ronnie asked. Now? The FBI gets involved. Federal prosecutors. Grand juries. Everyone named in that story goes down. It'll take time, but it'll happen. And us, we testify. We provide evidence. We make sure Eleanor's death means something. Winslow said they'd kill us, probably. But we'll make it hard for them. And besides, once the FBI's involved, we're protected. Sort of. She laughed. It was a tired sound. Sort of protected, great. The door to the bar opened. Captain Morrison walked in. He saw us, walked over, sat down. I should arrest you both. For what? Insubordination. Obstruction. Theft of evidence. Pick one. That evidence was never officially logged. And the case was closed. We didn't obstruct anything. Morrison sighed. I read the story. All of it. Hell of a piece. Very thorough. Ellena was thorough. We just followed her lead. The mayor called me an hour ago. Screaming. Demanding I arrest you, discredit the story, do something. I told him I'd look into it. Then I hung up and called the FBI. You did? I'm a cop, Mallory. I took an oath. Doesn't matter who's dirty. When I see corruption, I act. Even if it costs me my job. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. There'll be investigations, hearings, trials. You'll both be in danger for a long time. But you did the right thing. That matters. Morrison stood up, put on his hat. For what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Eleanor Riggs deserved better. From all of us. He left. Ronnie and I sat there as the sun came up. The city was waking up. People were buying newspapers. Reading the story. Learning what had been done in their name. By noon, the mayor had resigned. By evening, Deputy Mayor Harrison and Thomas Winslow had been arrested. By the end of the week, 6 more officials were in custody. The investigation took months. I testified 4 times. Ronnie testified 3. The box of evidence Ellena had left behind became exhibitor in the largest corruption trial in the city's history. 13 people were convicted. 14 if you count Judge Keene, who fled the country before she could be arrested. The mayor got 15 years. Harrison got 12. Winslow got 8 but died of a heart attack before he served even 6 months. Richard Ashford took a plea deal, testified against everyone else, and disappeared into witness protection. The new foundation never happened. The money was recovered, most of it, and returned to the city. New elections were held. New people took office. People who promised transparency, accountability, reform. I don't know if they kept those promises. By then, I'd moved on. I left the department 6 months after the story broke. Too many threats. Too many near misses. Too many times I'd gone home and found someone had been in my apartment, leaving a message. Nothing violent. Just a reminder that they knew where I lived. Where I worked. Where I got my coffee. So I left. Took a job in a smaller city upstate. Quieter. Safer. Boring. Ronnie left too. The Tribune offered her a promotion, her own column, national recognition. She turned it down. Said she'd done what she came to do. Last I heard, she was writing a book about the case. About Ellena. About everything we'd uncovered. I think about Eleanor Riggs sometimes. Wonder what she'd think about how it all turned out. Whether she'd consider it worth the cost. Whether justice, partial and delayed as it was, would have been enough for her. I think it would have been. Because she wasn't naive. She knew the world was complicated. Knew that powerful people rarely face real consequences. But she also knew that silence was worse than failure. That trying and losing was better than not trying at all. She'd been right about one thing: it was bigger than she understood. The corruption didn't start with the Horizon development contract and it didn't end with the mayor's resignation. There were other shell companies. Other schemes. Other people who got away. But we'd made a dent. We'd shown that even powerful people could be held accountable. That secrets could be exposed. That one person, armed with evidence and determination, could change things. Ellena had died for that. And in the end, she'd won. Not the way she wanted. Not the way anyone wants to win. But she'd forced the truth into the light. And once it was there, all the power and money and threats in the world couldn't put it back in the dark. That's something. Maybe it's everything. I still have the photograph. The one showing Ellena outside the blue moon, looking back over her shoulder. That determined expression on her face. I keep it in my desk drawer. A reminder. Of what she did. Of what it cost. Of why it mattered. Sometimes late at night, when I'm working a case and I'm tempted to take the easy path, to look the other way, To let something slide because it's complicated or dangerous or not worth the trouble, I take out that photograph. And I remember Eleanor Riggs. The girl who knew too much. The girl who refused to stay silent. The girl who died because she believed truth mattered more than safety. And I get back to work. Because that's what she would have wanted. Not memorials or monuments. Just people doing the job. People refusing to look away. People who see corruption and call it by name. That's justice. Imperfect, incomplete, but real. And it's what Ellena died for. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this one.